Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this is the BMW 6 Series GT or Gran Turismo, and this is the 2021 facelift version. And for 2021 version, BMW have made many comprehensive changes to this car. We'll talk about all of them in detail, but let's first understand what this car is all about and what is the reason for its existence. Now we go to see the coupe versions of a lot of premium sedans have been a part of the modern automobile ecosystem, and you would have seen the Audi A7 and the Mercedes CLS, which started it all as an offshoot of the traditional four-door sedan design. Now this car may also look similar in concept, but this is actually a lot different. So while a four-door coupe somewhat reduces the practicality of the original four-door sedan, a Gran Turismo version like this actually grows in size and makes it even more practical. So if you compare it with the 5 Series, this car is actually longer, and despite its sloping roof, which makes it look coupe-like and gives it a fastback silhouette, it is actually more practical. So this car is essentially meant for people who want a sedan with the panache without losing out on the practicality, in fact who want to enhance it. Now in that sense, this car is more practical when you compare it with the CLS, which by the way is going to be replaced very soon, or with the A7, which is currently not available in India. So for 2021 a lot of changes have been made. Let's run through them very quickly. This car comes in two trims, luxury line and M Sport, and the M Sport version is available only in the 630D trim. It's not available with the 2-liter petrol or the 2-liter diesel variants. Now the differences between the luxury line and the M Sport trim will be detailed in a bit, but let's first talk about the changes that have been made to the car for 2021. The shape of the grille has been changed, it's wider. The shape of the headlamps has been changed. These L-shaped DRLs have been introduced. Now this car gets laser light, which is extremely advanced. It has a throw of 650 meters and it comes with an LED array, which is very intelligent. It doesn't dazzle the traffic which is coming from the opposite direction, and even if you're trailing the traffic ahead, it manages its light in a manner such that the rear view mirrors of the vehicle ahead are not dazzled. Now for the M Sport trim, there is obviously a little bit more flair and a little bit more aggression, but for the 2021 version generally the bumper has been changed, and this air curtain slit that you see here deals with the turbulence that happens around the wheels to reduce the noise inside the cabin, and it really works. Looking at the sides, since this is the M Sport version, it gets these beautiful looking blue calipers and M branding on the discs. You get these big 19-inch Pirelli P0s on the M Sport. The lower variants get 18 inches. There is this M branding here. There is this slit here to manage the turbulence a little bit better. The side skirts are a little bit flared on the M Sport version, and this greenhouse area is surrounded by this piano black treatment on the M Sport version. The luxury line gets chrome. Coming towards the rear, the LED lights have been redesigned and the rear bumper has also been redesigned. The exhausts look very sporty too, and they are trapezoidal in shape. Also you get this dark grey colored treatment for the lower part of the bumper. Now while this might look like a very sporty car to you, let me tell you that this is quite a huge car, and if you compare it with the 5 Series, its wheelbase is 95 mm longer than the 5 Series, and even if you compare it with the long wheelbase E-Class, this car's wheelbase is only 9 mm shorter. So this is quite a huge car, which means that at the back seat you have a lot of space. So even if you compare it with the base sedan versions of the cars in this segment, this car comes across as the most practical, the most comfortable and the most spacious. A few other details: it comes with a panoramic sunroof, it has a shark fin antenna, it comes with a 360-degree camera system. Here is the front camera. This grille here is an active grille, which means that these fins open up and close. I would have wanted a pair of headlight washers here, but they're not there. You obviously have front parking sensors, and in addition to that there are a lot of active safety features which I'm going to talk about this car. Now before we get in, let's talk about the differences between the luxury line and the M Sport variant. Over and above the luxury line variant, these are the features that you get on the M Sport variant. You get a 8-speed sport transmission, launch control, you get black vertical lines in kidney grille, your car key comes with M logo, you have M door sills which are illuminated, you get a M leather steering wheel, M aerodynamic package which has a little bit more flair to it, adds a dash of sportiness to the car. The lower bumper comes in Park Shadow Metallic or the dark grey color that I mentioned. M branding on the fender, M Sport brakes with blue calipers, window frame in black, laser lights plus advanced LED lights. You also get a BMW display key which allows it to be remotely moved out from a narrow parking slot. It gets comfort access key which allows you to get inside the car without taking the key out of your pocket. Anthracite headliner. The infotainment system gets gesture control. You also get electric adjustment for upper backrest, comfort headrest for driver and front passenger. You get a memory function for the front passenger as well. Lumbar support, 360-degree camera with a 3D view. The interior trim is also a little different with fine line curve wood. You get Napa leather upholstery and 19-inch wheels as opposed to 18-inch wheels on luxury line. Alright, so before we get inside, we need to take a look at these two keys which come with this car. And while this is a standard key with unlock, lock, boot open and customizable key, you also get this remote key which comes with a parking function which allows you to make your car come forward or go behind in a narrow parking slot so that you don't have to struggle while you're coming out of the car and there's no space for the doors to open up. So this feature has been there on some premium BMW cars for some time, and we'll give a demo of how this works in another video. So you have a display on this key and you get a lot of information like whether the doors and windows are closed, vehicle information about all the lights, the range. You can set time for the next departure, and then you can use this remote controlled parking function using this button here. Once you have activated it, you have to use this button to make the car move forward or go backwards. Now let's get inside, and since this car comes with comfort access, we won't have to take the key out of our pocket and we can enter the car just by yanking the door handle. Now as I mentioned, since this is the high-end M Sport variant, you have higher quality Napa leather here, and on the door panel you will see that you have electric folding mirrors along with auto dimming function, and you have these buttons for the blinds at the rear as well. Now one feature that I would have wanted here and is missing is that these mirrors are not heated. You have a two-way memory function for the driver's seat though, and there is ample space in the door panel. The quality of materials is very high. It's all soft to touch all the way to the bottom, and even before you enter you can figure that you are entering a very high quality cabin. You're welcomed by this M lettering on the door sills, and this is illuminated as well. Now these controls here for the driver's seat are very extensive. So this button here is to extend the thigh support. These are the normal buttons for fore and aft movement and the backrest recline. But if you look at this little button here in the middle of the backrest button, this is meant to change the angle of the upper part of the backrest separately. So that's a unique feature here. And then in addition to that, you have lumbar support in all four directions, up, down, front and back. And then if you look at this button here, this is to increase or decrease the bolstering. As you can see, you can increase or decrease the side bolstering using this button. So very comprehensive driver's seat electric adjustment, and I really thought that this needed a special mention. If you look at the wood trim also, it's very classically styled, old school wood trim for the M Sport version. Getting inside is not difficult at all, and since this car is slightly higher than your low slung cars like the 3 Series or the 5 Series, it's not going to be difficult even for the elderly. The pedals are finished in brushed metal and they have these rubber studs. Now you have all the controls for the light here. The steering is electrically adjustable for tilt and telescopic action. Obviously it's an M Sport steering wheel with pedal shifters. You have BMW's 12.3-inch live cockpit here, and it can give you a plethora of information including trip values, power or torque produced, and it also has a G meter along with a dedicated map for navigation. And in addition to that, you have a 12.3-inch screen here which has a ton of features including ambient lighting. This infotainment system comes with a 16 speaker Harman Kardon system with surround sound, and as I mentioned before, it also comes with a very high definition 360-degree camera system, and you can choose from a 3D view where the car can be seen as a projection, or you can also have the car wash mode to drive into a car wash garage where it shows you the track of the car, or you can simply have the parking view where it shows you the rear of the car, where you can have a view from the side of the car as well. So it's quite high resolution and one of the more advanced camera systems you'll find anywhere. Now you can control a whole lot of things with this very simple iDrive interface here, and it's very easy to understand. And in addition to what you see here, you also get what BMW calls BMW reversing assist, which can track the movement of the car for 15 meters and take the car out from a parking slot exactly in the way you parked it in to help you get it out. It also gets parking assistant, which can take over the steering and which can help you slot the car in parallelly or perpendicularly. The quality of materials, as I mentioned before, is very high. You have this double stitching pattern here. The open grain wood here is very classy, and the inserts also look very, very beautiful. The lower part of the dashboard is also soft to touch, and underneath this sliding door you have a wireless charger system with 2 cup holders, a USB socket and a 12-volt power socket. And at the central panel you have all the iDrive controls, which are very easy to use, along with these dedicated controls for some special functions. All the driving modes can be chosen from here. This is the button for the camera. From here you can control the ride height of the car, and this is the button for the spoiler at the back. This is the electronic parking brake, and using this button you can enable the auto hold function. These controls here, or you can directly go here and touch the screen to choose whatever settings you want. Now underneath the armrest you have some space. You have a Type-C USB socket and you have some illumination as well. All of this is finished very, very well. The seats are beautifully contoured. They are very comfortable. For the M Sport variant you get this special diamond quilted kind of a stitching treatment on the seats, and this special contrasting white or cream treatment on the base brown Napa leather. And these seats are some of the most comfortable seats that you'll come across in any car across any segment. You get this beautiful panoramic sunroof, and the controls for this are right here. Let me just open it completely to show you how far back it goes. And let me just close it completely as well. In terms of safety, you get 6 airbags, attentiveness assistance, ABS with brake assist, DSC, DTC, electronic differential lock control, cornering brake control, ISOFIX child seats, and an electronic brake. Overall, it's a very, very safe car. And the moment you get inside this cabin, you realize that you are sitting somewhere special. The quality of materials, the appointment, the colors and everything looks very, very rich and very plush. The console is slightly tilted towards the driver for better ergonomics, better ease of use, and everything has a very solid, very plush feel to it. The seats, as I mentioned, need a special mention because this level of control on seats generally is not seen in cars this class, and I really find these seats to be some of the most comfortable. And combined with the air suspension and the great insulation this car has, it is a great mile muncher. You can travel hundreds of kilometers in this car without getting fatigued at all. Now, if I have to really talk about some missing features, it doesn't have a cooled glove box. This car doesn't have ventilated seats or heated seats. As I mentioned, it doesn't even have heated rear view mirrors. It doesn't come with an HUD or heads-up display. Now, in addition to all of that, you get driver and passenger side vanity mirrors with illumination. The IRVM obviously is auto dimming. Now, a very mentionable feature of this car is the 4-zone climate control. And while the 2 zones are usable for the front 2 passengers, they're even more usable at the rear, where there are 2 separate zones. And the back seat of this car needs a special mention because it's really comfortable and comes loaded with features. So let's get there and check out the back seat, which makes this car very special. Now, just like the front, at the rear also the quality of materials is top notch, and you have a very massive bottle holder, and you have these 3 different controls for the blinds. So you can control the blinds for both the sides with the buttons here, and this specific button here to bring both the blinds down with the press of a single button. Now, while I forgot to mention this, the doors here are also beautifully styled and the windows are frameless, and when they are opened they add to the grandeur of this car and make it look absolutely stunning. Getting inside is not a chore at all, as the seat height is ideal even for the elderly, and as you can see, the long wheelbase of this car endows it with a lot of knee and leg space. You have this magazine holder here, but what's more important is that you also have these 10.25-inch infotainment screens as standard, and the input on these screens can be given through screen mirroring. These are HDMI ready. They can also play Blu-ray discs, the slot for which is right here, and they also have USB slots, so they are also USB device ready, and they can also be connected to your gaming devices. So you have your infotainment system set here, and even if you are going for a very long journey, you have your entire home theater system right here, because the audio system on this car also rocks. As I mentioned before, you have two separate climate zones here to control. You have two USB Type-C power sockets in addition to a 12-volt power socket. You have two 3.5 mm jacks here, and the seat by itself is very plush with exceptional thigh support, and the icing on the cake is that the seat back is reclinable electrically, which makes it extremely comfortable. So the back seat here for the two side passengers is extremely comfortable, and the comfort here is further enhanced by the fact that the suspension here is an air suspension unit, and the ride quality on this car is very plush, and the cabin insulation is also fantastic. Now, while the coupe like roofline would make you think that the headroom here is not sufficient, but even 6-footers or even 6 feet 2 or 6 feet 3 people can really sit here very comfortably, and there is no dearth of headroom here. Also, you have these pillows over the headrests, which make it an even more comfortable experience. This little quarter panel here also lets a lot more light come in, and this space doesn't feel claustrophobic or cramped at all. At the rear, you have a proper 3-point seat belt for the middle passenger, although you cannot seat a third passenger here because there is a huge hump for the transmission tunnel, and the armrest here is also slightly high set for my comfort. I really wish this was a little bit on the lower side, although you have twin cup holders and some space underneath the armrest, and the armrest by itself is quite wide for the two elbows to rest here very comfortably. You have these reading lights here, and you also have these strips for LED ambient lighting. As I mentioned before, the Harman Kardon 16-speaker audio system here is absolutely fantastic, so you'd be immersed in comfort and luxury while you're sitting here. And another very important thing which I need to mention is that these seats are 40-20-40 split. So not just are these seats very comfortable, they are very versatile, and when you open the boot, which by the way is powered, you will be welcomed by 600 liters of humongous space, which can be extended to up to 1800 liters if you drop the rear 3 units of the seats, and these can be dropped by the pull of a button like this. So all of this makes it a very practical, very versatile car, although this space saver which sits on the top of the boot here eats into that space somewhat, but still there is ample space here for a family of 4 to go for a longish holiday. In addition to all the features I mentioned about the boot, you have a very flat loading lip, so loading and unloading stuff is a piece of cake. You get a 12-volt power socket here, and in addition to that you have these 2 hooks and a parcel shelf right here. Well, the first thing that you will realize once you get behind the wheel of the 6 Series GT is that it doesn't feel like a low-slung car like say the 3 Series or even the 5 Series. From behind the wheel, it feels more like a crossover, and that, especially in the Indian conditions, gives you a lot of confidence because you sit high up, and while going over bad roads, it really feels very strong, and it's aided by the fact that you have air suspension, the control for which is right here, and when you are at speeds below 35 kilometers per hour, it can rise up by up to 20 mm to give you that extra clearance to go over bad roads. and it really matters a lot in Indian conditions, especially if you're going in places where you don't have good roads. So it's an added plus, and the air suspension comes as standard on both the axles on all the variants. So I really believe that this is one of the most mentionable traits of this car, which makes it a little different from your regulation sedan, makes it more capable. Despite being a Gran Turismo, it's not exactly a sedan, so it's more capable in terms of its clearance and the kind of feeling that it gives you from behind the steering wheel. The M Sport steering feels very chunky with this M badging, and this specific variant, the M Sport variant, comes with a 3-liter V6 turbo diesel, and I absolutely love these diesels. I really believe that for all these premium cars, the 3-liter turbo V6 diesels were the best option for the Indian conditions, because not only are these engines very powerful and torquey, they are very fuel efficient. The variation between when you are driving very fast or very slow in fuel efficiency is not too much, and you can really cover a lot of ground in Indian conditions on the road with these engines. They really differentiate themselves with the kind of performance that you get as compared to the 2-liter diesels, and they give you very usable performance where you ride a wave of torque. I absolutely love this engine. It is mated to an 8-speed Sport Steptronic, which is exclusive to the M Sport version. It doesn't come with the 20i or the 30i. It's exclusive to the 30D. And the advantage that you have here is that it's a little bit more aggressive, and it also comes with launch control. So from a standstill, you can really launch this car. And talking about launch control, the power here is 265 HP, which is produced at 4000 RPM. But the more mentionable figure here is the torque, which is rated at 620 Newton meters, and that torque is produced between 2000 and 2500 RPM, and that torque really gives this car the capability to surge ahead at any RPM in any gear. And talking about gears, the 8-speed transmission here is really capable. It's as aggressive as it's intelligent, and it's one of the nicest transmissions that you'd come across. You have these pedal shifters. Now the GT, being bigger in size, is heavier than the 5 Series, and its weight along with the air suspension makes itself evident in the way it handles. The drive feel is not as involving as the sedans, as I mentioned before, and there is a little bit of lack of feedback at the steering wheel, although the steering is very precise. But the feedback from the road and the engagement that you get from the steering wheel in the sedans is not quite there. There is a wee bit of inertness, although it's very well weighted, and the precision is perfect. It's not quite as involving, but this engine and transmission is a joy to operate, and be it in city roads or on the highway, you just dab the right pedal and it just lunges ahead. 0 to 100 is achieved in a blistering fast 6.1 seconds, and this car can go all the way to 250 kilometers per hour. Now there are two more engine options available. The 2-liter diesel is also there with 190 HP and 400 Newton meters of power, and then there is a 2-liter turbo petrol with 258 HP of power and 400 Newton meters of torque. So while the diesel does 0 to 100 in 7.9 seconds, the petrol disposes that in 6.6 seconds. This car with its 6.1 second sprint is the quickest 0 to 100 car in this segment, and that really makes it special. Apart from that, you have a ton of modes to choose from. You have the Eco Pro, Comfort and Sport modes, and you have the Adaptive mode also, which scans the road and adapts the suspension all by itself. You can customize it. However, this being a BMW and powered by efficient dynamics, it comes with a mild hybrid 48-volt system as well, wherein the car has the capability to regenerate energy and charge a battery, which can turn the engine off as it's turned off when you're coasting. So from speeds between 25 kilometers per hour to 160 kilometers per hour, this car can actually completely turn the engine off and let the car coast, so that you can get extra fuel efficiency in the Eco Pro mode and Comfort mode as well. In addition to that, the battery can assist the driveline with up to 11 horsepower and adds to the acceleration. So the mild hybrid system works very well. Now the fuel efficiency here is rated at 17.09 kmpl by ARAI, and this 3-liter diesel in the real world also can deliver very good fuel efficiency. Within the city, you can get 10 to 11 kilometers to the liter, and on the highway also you can get 14 to 15 kilometers to the liter, which is exceptional for such a large car with so much weight. Now, in terms of the ride quality, it's very supple, very absorbent, and of course, this being an air suspension, as you change modes, if you go to sport mode, the suspension becomes stiffer and the steering becomes tauter, so the overall experience becomes a lot more engaging. However, as I said, that natural involving feel of the sedans is not quite there, but still in the sport mode this car can be very engaging to drive, this being a BMW. But having said that, this car can still be enjoyed around a set of bends to the fullest, just that it's not as engaging as say a 330i in its standard format. Overall, a very plush car, very well insulated. There is absolutely no noise coming out from the outside, be it road noise, be it tire noise, be it the wind noise. It's very well insulated, very plush, a very premium cabin, and it comes with a whole suite of driver assistance systems, including a 360-degree camera and cruise control along with braking. So all of these things really make it a very comfortable car, and the fact that this is more of a crossover from behind the steering wheel than a sedan gives you a lot of confidence. So it's kind of a blend between a sports car and something which can be used on rough roads as well. A very good car to drive in India, doesn't feel delicate, and it can give you the thrills when you're looking for them. So not just is the BMW 6 GT very stylish, it's also very comfortable, very practical, and very spacious, which distinguishes it from a lot of other similar cars which are a 4-door sedan coupe kind of an application, which are not quite as comfortable, as spacious and as practical as this car here. Now, priced at 68 to 78 lakh rupees, this car isn't exactly inexpensive, but if you really ask me, this car doesn't really have a head-on competitor. Its closest competitor, in my personal opinion, at this point in time, would probably be the Mercedes E-Class AMG E350D, but that car retails for 81 lakh rupees ex-showroom, which is 3 lakh rupees more than the top of the line 6 Series 630D M Sport that we have here with us. That car neither does have so many features. That car doesn't have an air suspension, it's not as fast, it doesn't drive as well, and in terms of space as well, this car not just matches it but also outclasses it in some respects. This is a more rugged car, more fun to drive car, and overall I would any day recommend this car over the Mercedes. If you're looking for value, you can probably go with the Audi A6, which isn't exactly a competitor, but still is a petrol powered, more value for money kind of a car. And then you'd also have the Vanilla 5 Series coming up in some time, which would save you anywhere from 8 to 10 lakh rupees over this car. But as a standalone product, I don't really think that this car has a clear competitor at this point in time, until Mercedes probably brings the CLS, which would again be a lot more expensive than this. And with all its features, its power, its performance, its styling, its spaciousness, its practicality, I really think that this is quite a unique car. And for those among you who are looking for a bit of panache with practicality, this is definitely going to tug at your heartstrings. I really hope that this video was of some use to you. If you liked it, hit that like button, subscribe to Motoroids, and until next time, this is Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.